Can we spend a minute on media? They're back at it. They're back at it. It's Trump wall to wall on CNN, on MS, and elsewhere. And I get it. This is a big story. So, to some extent, I'll give them a pass. But even last week, they had started it. They see an opportunity to grow their failing ratings, CNN in particular. And we've put together just a short montage giving you a flavor of how the coverage went yesterday as he got in his plane and traveled. Watch.
I think that looks like the president's plane.
We are seeing former President Trump's plane land here.
We see the Trump plane taxiing now. There he is. So there he is.
He looked like such a solitary, somber figure there.
What does that tell you, that body language?
Much more resigned.
As we watch Donald Trump's limo drive on the FDR.
This is actually the street where we expect the former president to drive. He will go in through that door. Once he enters those doors, Jake, he is under arrest.
They really did try to turn it into the O.J. Simpson white Bronco. We've got him. They hired a boat to sit on the Hudson, or maybe it was the East River, to try to get a picture, and they did, of his plane. It's beyond.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things going on there, Megyn. The first one is that the press understands and has always understood that Trump is ratings gold. And I think this is one reason why many of us just don't believe that they think of Donald Trump what they say they think of Donald Trump. Because if you really, truly believed that he was a threat to the foundation of the republic from which it could never recover, you would not do what the press has done right from the moment he came down that escalator, which is to obsessively cover every single thing that he does, to the point at which they were in 2015 and 16 covering, sometimes for up to an hour, an empty podium.
Yep.
The second thing here is that the media is hugely biased. There's no point pretending otherwise. All of the surveys confirm this. All of the donation and contribution reports that are put out by the FEC confirm this. It is located in urban areas, and it is by and large full of people who have wanted to see this for a long time. Now, again, there is nothing per se wrong with a president or prospective president being indicted. It is not in and of itself the sign of a banana republic, but there are many people in the press, as there are many people in the Democratic Party, whose view is that the United States, or one of the states or cities within it, has to get Trump on something, and it doesn't particularly matter what it is. There was a freestanding, free-floating desire to see the guy booked, to see him arrested, to see him in handcuffs, to see him in an orange jumpsuit. And most of that's not going to happen, literally. But figuratively, it is now. And these people are very excited about it because they've wanted it for years. And they've wanted it independently of the details. They wanted it long before they knew about this case. They wanted it long before Trump did what he did after the 2020 election, which was a profound disgrace for which he should have been impeached. They wanted it 10 minutes after he first sat down in the Oval Office. The first 2 years, we sometimes forget this with all that's happened since, but the first 2 years of Trump's tenure were marked by this fantasy that he had colluded with Vladimir Putin to steal the 2016 election, that this would be discovered, and that he would end up in Alcatraz. And finally, albeit on the flimsiest and most dangerous of pretexts, it's happening. At least it's happening in part. And the press cannot contain itself. And they are, if not likely, they are at risk, and I say that sardonically, of making him the Republican nominee once again as a result.
Yes, I want to get to that. It occurred to me watching the press just salivating over this, that they are as out of touch with the mood of most Americans as Bud Light is with the desires of its customer base. This is ridiculous. Dylan Mulvaney cans being released. I think the ABC News poll showed 60% of Americans are not in favor of this. indictment. All those who are Democrats, hard partisans, and the few Republicans who consider themselves never
sorry to
Trumpers.
interrupt you. Can I just add something that was fascinating about that poll? Was that 60% of Americans were against this, but 72% of Americans thought that it was nakedly political, which tells you that there are some Americans who are in favor of this who think it's nakedly political, and that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all about getting Trump.
Right.
It's the theme of the show. So let's talk about what they're doing. There was a very interesting article in Politico today in which it was sort of a warning, I thought, to Democrats, to media that's getting drunk again on the Trump wine. It tastes so good. The numbers are going back up. CNN was in the basement. I mean, it still is on its ratings. And here's their savior. He's back. So Politico, a couple of quotes I wrote down, that writes of an uneasy deja vu has set in. We've seen this story before, quoting some top Democrats, that the Democrats believe Donald Trump will win the nomination and that he's the easiest to beat. So yay. However, they go on to point out he did win more votes in 2020 than he won in 2016. Joe Biden is about to turn 82 years old. Kamala Harris is extremely unpopular. And then a quote in there, I think it was, speaking of Never Trumpers, a guy from the Lincoln Project, was Rick, what's his name? Klein? What's Rick's last name? The guy in the Lincoln Project, in any event. Wilson, thank you. The media is covering Donald Trump wall to wall. The Democrats are overconfident. Trump's opponents are struggling with how to handle him in their messaging. I think all three of those are fair points, Charlie, and we're walking down a path that feels very familiar if you lived through this in 2015-16.
Yes, I agree. And I'll say it again. If you truly believe that Donald Trump were a threat to the Republic, then you wouldn't behave like this. And you certainly wouldn't hope that he would be the nominee. We have a two-party system, and that means that anyone who manages to secure the nomination of one of those two major parties has a reasonable chance of being president of the United States. I don't want the Republican Party to choose Donald Trump. I don't want them to choose him because I think he'll lose, but mostly I don't want them to choose him because of his conduct while he was in office, while he's been out of office, his lies about the election and so on. I don't need to go through it all for your listeners. They're probably familiar with what I think. I think to bet on the idea that Donald Trump would, as a matter of certainty, lose the 2024 election were he to be nominated would be idiotic. I mean, as you said, Joe Biden is nearly 82 years old. Donald Trump won more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. Also, we may have a recession next year. When Joe Biden won in 2020, it was in the midst of a once-in-a-century pandemic. His opponent was erratic to the point at which Biden could benefit from being seen to be quiet, really hiding throughout the election. That dynamic might not play out the same next year if that is the matchup. Donald Trump is nothing if not energetic. Joe Biden is going to be under more scrutiny from the electorate. There won't be the excuse of COVID to keep him in his basement. He will seem old and frail. Kamala Harris will continue to be unpopular, and the problems with the country will not be blamable on the incumbent president, Donald Trump, but on the incumbent president, Joe Biden, who will still be presiding over high inflation that under his leadership has reached a 40-year high, will still be presiding over high gas prices, may well be presiding over a recession. You don't want to roll that dice if you're an anti-Trumper. And what do I see the press doing? I see them rolling that dice once again.
They can't help themselves. They're mercenary, really, at the end of the day. And they understand that putting him on TV leads to ratings, whether it's the empty podium, the plane flying over the river. And how about the absurd comment by Gloria Borger? Like, look at him. He looks somber. He looks like a damn ant figure. You can't see anything about him. Imputing motive and mood onto the guy. Like, what are you saying? It's just her weird projection, I guess, of what she'd like to see or what she's feeling herself. I have no idea. Now that it's spring, it's time to get outside and enjoy your backyard. And it's actually feeling possible, doesn't it? But does your backyard need a makeover? Is it fun? Is it a good place to exercise or hang with the fam? Start with the perfect centerpiece, a Michael Phelps Swim Spa by Master Spas. A Michael Phelps Swim Spa can transform your backyard into an oasis. The swim spa is an alternative to a pool with the therapy of a hot tub. Michael Phelps Swim Spas have a water current, so you can swim, do aquatic exercises, and have fun with the kids. And because it's heated, you can choose your perfect water temperature and then use it all year long in any climate. Michael Phelps Swim Spas by Master Spas come in a variety of sizes to complement almost any yard, even if it's a small one. And this is not a long, intimidating project. In fact, delivery and installation can take less than a day once your space is ready. Michael Phelps Swim Spas are 100% made in the USA by Master Spas, the world's largest swim spa manufacturer. You will love your Michael Phelps Swim Spa by Master Spas. Go to masterspas.com, put in the promo code MK, and that will save you $1,000 on a Michael Phelps Swim Spa or $500 on a Master Spas hot tub. That's masterspas.com, promo code MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.